You know, before that cliffhanger of an ending, I thought it was going to be General Zod who had possessed Morgan Edge, but Superman's brother? What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to SIBZ, West Coast, East Coast Siblings, where we break down your favorite movies and TV shows. Tonight, we are talking episode 9 of Superman and Lois. Man, this show is incredible. It's probably in my top 3 shows right now, period, not just on the CW. So, this is going to be your biggest takeaways, my reaction to the episode. Before we get started, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you get a notification on your phone when I drop new videos. Of course, guys, you know Loki is coming out tomorrow, 3 a.m. I will be watching it and doing a review. So we're going to get to Morgan Edge and his character and what's going on, but let's start with Emily Fawn, as what's happening to her is the same thing that's happening to many people in Smallville, including Lana's husband, Sarah's father. So, she leaves during her daughter's talent show, and it was weird. It struck everybody strange and odd. It's because that's not actually her. We had talked in previous episodes about people being possessed by Kryptonians, but we never really knew why. We never knew why Morgan Edge would even want to do that. Turns out that the people who are in Smallville got exposure to X-kryptonite radiation, and Superman explains this, that when he came down to Earth, other shards of radioactive pieces of his homeworld somehow survived the entire trip through space. I guess we're just pulled along by the gravity of the ship. Not sure how the physics work there, but they came down with him in his rocket, and the people in Smallville were exposed to that, and it's created a resistance and a tolerance to Superman-like power. So it's the perfect breeding ground for bringing in an army of Kryptonians. Now, Morgan Edge, he has that army of Kryptonians waiting for bodies, and that's the machine that he has. That's what he put Emily in. That's what he put Lana's husband in, and several other people in Smallville. Superman's been pretty much kicking their butts right now. But this is the exact war that John Henry Irons was talking about, a.k.a. Lex Luthor, a.k.a. Steel, whatever we want to call him at this point. He's changed his names many times. Now, as far as how he knows that what happened on his Earth is going to happen on our Earth is still uncertain. We're still not clear on that, but it seems as though he was right. Now, the only uncertainty, the only real question is Superman going to stay true to who he is? Or is he going to turn to the Kryptonian side? Although it could happen, we have to remember that things don't happen the same way twice in the multiverse, at least as we know it so far in the Arrowverse and the CW superhero verse. So some other things that are happening in this episode, and we'll get to Morgan Edge's identity. But first, let's talk about Jordan and what's happening with him. So, and even Superman, because his exposure to that green cloud of kryptonite has caused some issues. He was getting bruised by bullets, and he needs some time to recover. Now, his body and his immune system probably worked the kryptonite out quicker because he was also exposed. But Jordan, he was bringing in super amounts of air and then turning them into ice inside of his lungs. So basically he was going to freeze his lungs. Now, this was super weird. The way that they burned it out of him, they said they had to use heat, extreme heat, right? And it was like burning him, and they were, all through his head and stuff. Now, the first thing is there was no guarantee that he would survive that. We knew that he had some powers, but the extent of his powers, we wouldn't know. And, Jor-El was saying in the fortress, we're going to have to do the same thing that we've done to you, to him. And Superman has a lot more resistance than Jordan. So, whatever, it worked. And you notice with all that intense heat, it didn't leave a single scorch mark on his jacket. But that's such a small thing. This show is incredible, and if that's the only fault you can find with it, you're watching a good show. So Jordan ends up getting all the kryptonite burned out of his system, and now he's showing some real resistance, and now the development of his freeze breath. He says it's like having some spearmint or evergreen, what's it called? Some gum in your mouth at all times. That could get weird. So we want to keep an eye on Jonathan, as always. He seemed pretty receptive and pretty supportive of Jordan and his new powers. But we also know that Jonathan eventually could develop powers of his own. And we're going to want to keep an eye out to see whether he turns evil with those powers or stays good. Okay, now let's talk about Morgan Edge. Who is this guy? Now, in the end, that incredible cliffhanger scene where he had a full Kryptonian suit with cape, already knew how to fly. That's why I was originally thinking before this scene that this was Zod. We had seen in Man of Steel and in other materials, other versions of Superman, that Zod is a trained warrior, and so he was able to develop his powers very quickly once coming to Earth. But this guy claims to have already been on Earth, and the big shocker, he calls Clark his brother. Now, could this just be like a camaraderie between Kryptonians, brother, sister? Yeah, sure, it could be, but I really doubt that it is. Now, a quick Google search for Superman's brother will turn up Hulk Carr was his name from Superman number 80. It was like in the 50s, and no, it's definitely not him. The issue was called Superman's Big Brother, and he wore a costume very similar to Superman's, just reversed and without any S logo on it. What I likely think is that this character is an amalgamation of Zod, Hulk Carr, and like Mon-El, because also the character Hulk Carr, aka Superman's big brother, kind of morphed into Mon-El and was also known as Largand at a time. So he was several different characters. It's morphed into what we currently know as Superboy. So in Man of Steel, we could see Zod and Feor. They brought their whole crew in order to invade Krypton, but they weren't born there. But their intention was to take all the Kryptonians who still weren't born and bring them to Earth and recreate Krypton. Now, it seems that this guy, Morgan Edge, is going in the same direction. Now, what's interesting is I also thought that Morgan Edge was simply somebody who was possessed by a Kryptonian, and the real Morgan Edge had nothing to do with any of this. But once possessed by a Kryptonian, he started looking into the Schuster mines and Kryptonite X, etc. But again, that cliffhanger line talking about brother and, you know, I've been here too, and it's time I let you know who I am. It seems like this guy's been around for a while, just hiding in the shadows. Why now? Like, why is this happening now? Now, there was a little bit of family reuniting and a little bit of bonding between Lois and her father. They had gotten into a tiff because, you know, Lois was like, how could you knowingly and willingly put my loved ones in danger? Here's the thing. I got to defend Lane on this one, and I think Lois is a little off. Here's the thing. Superman, yes, these weapons were developed to hurt and kill and stop Superman. But Superman is not the only Kryptonian in existence. He's not the only threat of that nature from other planets. And I think that it would be a very natural military response to begin preparing for others like him and him. And it doesn't necessarily mean a personal agenda. Again, Lane is not the president. Like, he does have people over him that might have been giving him orders to do this. And he never says as much, so I'm not going to give him that credit if he never said that it wasn't me, it was somebody else. But, you know, it's definitely plausible that he was doing this to defend against any kind of rogue Kryptonian, or who knows, maybe all aliens, as far as they know, could be susceptible to some form of kryptonite weapon or attack. So, yeah, I thought Lois was a little off there, but she's been going through her own kind of junk right now. I feel like she wants to be a good mom, but she seems a little self-centered in everything, even things that really do have nothing to do with her. Like, it's not her fault. She's still thinking about herself and, like, how she had something to do with it or how she should have done something. But it really was never up to her in the first place. But anyway, guys, that's a breakdown of Superman and Lois episode 9. Let me know, guys, what you think. Best show on TV right now, at least that I'm watching. I thoroughly enjoyed this. The action, the budget, the storyline, it's twisty. It's got multiple plot lines, characters. The acting is good. Sorry, I hit the mic. But no, I've really enjoyed the show, and I'd love to chat it up with you guys as always. So hit me up in the comments below. Hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss. Click the bell so you get a notification on your phone when I drop new videos. And once again, Loki is coming out at 3 a.m. and you're not going to want to miss that show. I've heard incredible things about this show and how good it's going to be. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next one.